Okay, so welcome back, everybody. Not sure if I'm making this a two-part video or not, but if it is a full-on one video, then I guess not. Welcome back. Just thanks for hanging in there the last few seconds. All right, so in this next portion, what we are going to do is we are going to fix the issue that we're having with the face, with this head, and I just kind of ran back to the old video to kind of look at how it went. Seems like it went on longer than I expected. But I'm just going to kind of reiterate what I said before, and I've stated many times on Discord and to other people, is you can ask me to put out a thing for you, and I can do that. You can ask me to put out another thing for you, and I can do that. But all in all, if I'm just pretty much, it goes along the old proverb of teach a man a fish, you know? So if what I'm showing you here is just like, yeah, but just do it for me, you're not going to learn anything. And I mean that in the nicest way, is if you learn the process, you don't have to use these tools, but you'll now know a little more on how faces work. And when we get into the Blender portion, which would be coming up next, I'm going to be showing you how to actually modify these faces and how to actually pull the nose in, pull the nose out, make wrinkles, make them chubbier, make them bigger, and how you want, which is pretty much a thing no one really has done yet on Blender tutorials for NwN2 is it's always, everybody downloads the same packs and says, well, how do I duplicate a head? And that's by far level 1 stuff compared to some of the tips and tricks to the level 2 and 3 stuff that I'm showing you how to do. So just hang in there for a bit longer. This tutorial's a little faster. I'll explain it as I go, as I normally do, because if I'm not explaining, then what's the point? I'm just showing off, and that's not what I'm here to do, okay? So I'm hoping to pass this knowledge on, because I won't be around the scene forever. I'm already moving out of the scene. People that have noticed me on Discord, I've been more silent. I'm slowly moving away from the NwN2 scene for my own reasons, and moving on to different video games and the like. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to fix the issue, and I'm going to explain briefly the normal map. So, as you can see, we've changed the diffuse map to something we like, something we're happy with, and if we look back on the other map, this is what we have. This is what we have here. The face does kind of look similar. It's because one thing about models is no matter what you do to the map sometimes, unless you change out the normal map and the actual structure of the model, then you start getting some real big differences. So this does kind of look like a same Cullen model here, just with some war paint on, because he has pretty much the same nose, the same lips, the same, everything's exactly where it was. So over this next one, we're going to add a little more variation. By that, we are going to remove the way this head is. The reason why this is because on the diffuse map, we had hair here, and you can kind of see where the hairline would be. The only reason it's not showing us properly here is because the normal map, which we will open up in a second, is going to show that there are some wrinkles in here. And in the Specularity map, which is in the alpha channel of the normal map, is going to show you also that there is light streaks coming in here, and it's telling you where the light bounces and bounces back. And so to look at those properly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to close out. Well, actually, what I want to do first, okay, is I want to... let's go ahead and close out the PSD. I'm not going to save any of these changes that I made because I want to keep this PSD as vanilla as possible, the working one. I don't want to ever edit it unless I'm happy with it. Now, what I do want to do is if I do like the map that I'm using here, say I want to keep this one, right? And I want to use it another time because later on you're gonna have the opportunity to mix different maps together and get some very pretty interesting results. Okay, so this is my override folder. I'm gonna open up back my original mod folder where I pulled my override files from, and I created a folder here called output files. And I created a diffuse map and I called it Dragon Age Male 02. And I put it in here, and the reason I made this on my last tutorial, the one that I told you got botched. And what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna copy this head 03. I'm gonna hit copy, and I'm gonna paste it into this diffuse maps output files. And these are pretty much all the maps that I'm making. Now, I'm going to open up Head 02 so you have an understanding of what this map looks like. This is the other map that I made. Now, if I want to use this map on this character, I can simply do that by renaming this map. Well, two options. I can either rename this map to 03 and toss it in here, or overwrite it, or whichever way I want to do that. Or I can simply just name it 04 and just reclone a new head and then make that head 04 and associate it to the diffuse map of head 04. But that's just showing you. What I want to do is I want to put all the maps I create, different variations of faces, in this folder. And same thing for normal maps if I want to. See, I also have another normal map here. And that's pretty much the bald head. It's pretty much what I'm going to be teaching you here, but I'm going to show you how I came to that, okay? And the specularity map, maybe not so much, because in turn, specularity maps are always kind of combined into the normal map too, and I'll show you what I mean in actually now. So we're going to open up the normal map to this file, which is head 03, and if we remember how we associated the MDB, head 03 is associated to Dragon Age Male 03 normal in. So I'm going to double click that, open it up. It's going to prompt you this prompt. Press OK. I'm going to go ahead and remove this from our palette right now. We don't need that. And I'm going to keep that open just for just in case. Okay, so this is pretty much this map. As I stated, that's the diffuse that shows us what we're looking at here. But this is kind of like showing the inner workings of it now. This is kind of like, this is just a flat face. This is the pretty much the definition of the face. This is what engines use to tell where light reflects in and out. And if I zoom in here, you'll see exactly what I mean. It may look like an old man, but really it's not that pronounced. That all depends on the blender settings you have set up. But if you look up here, do you see where the hair is? That's why we're getting these little grooves here, is because the hair is, it's pretty much, the light thinks that it's bumped out there, that it's bumping. A normal map is also otherwise, some people, similar to a bump map, okay? So, and the reason that being is because that we were using the original file. What we are going to do here is we're going to make that bald, and I'll show you how in a second. If we also go into the channels, we see this same thing going on here. The channel, if we go into the alpha channel, pretty much tells light how intense it is on the face and how much it bounces back and forth. And I especially like that on the beard here, because you got some, because, you know, if the beard is a little oily, or, you know, you get some little, the hair is hair, it tends to shine. The beard is hair. So granted, in the right position and the right where the light hits, you get these little shined lights on the beard, which if we go back to the original Cullen, you'll see that right here. See those lights? See how it's light? And it really adds a depth of realism to the face, which I like. And so I'm going to show you how to do that at the end too, how to achieve that effect. But right now we're going to focus on the purple map before we get to the black and white map. Okay? So for the purple map, what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our regular files that we pulled from. Okay? And I'm going to go back, and we were going to open up, instead of the diffuse maps, Jude Ink Face Creator normal maps. Let that fire up. Once that is open, it is similar to the diffuse maps, except that it only has two options. It has scars and it has base normals. Now, as I said, it's much faster, because once you learn the diffuse map, this comes as no big deal. Pretty much, I'm going to find, you can find, there's different variations of heads here. If you go through, you kind of get an idea of what they will look like. This guy obviously has a big wrinkle on his forehead. And then not until you start messing with them a little more, you kind of get an understanding of how they operate. Now, these have light hair on the top. You may not see it, you know, in some of these. But pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab, let me see, no, not that one. Some of these are really different. This has a really pronounced lips, as you can see. You know, some of these are male, some of these are female. This one has a little vein, it looks like, on the side, which is pretty cool. Actually, I'm going to grab that one, okay? This pretty much is a vanilla head, but if you notice, it's pretty vanilla out here, okay? Now, our head here, we have a scar on the lip, which I like, and different things. What I'm going to do right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go to, I want this head, I want to steal this, but I kind of want to keep some of this going on. Like, see the stubble? The little stubble, when I zoom in here, we have a little stubble on the beard. And with that, what I like to do is I like to keep that stubble, because he actually does have a beard here. And so I want to kind of keep that, and I want to make it pop a little more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go into this face. This face does not have so much of a stubble. It has texture to it. If I get really deep in there, we see that it has skin texture, but it doesn't really have the stubble. So what we're going to do is we're going to merge, mix and mesh the two maps together. So I'm going to go to select all. I'm going to get edit, copy, Okay, I'm gonna come back in here. I'm gonna zoom out so I can see the entire thing. I'm gonna hit it, edit, paste in place, or paste. In this case, I'm gonna use paste in place just to keep up with appearances. All right, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do what I did earlier. Remember when I created a mask? So I'm gonna create this mask again, but this time what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep this one white. Because if I make it pure black by filling it with the foreground color by clicking Alt Backspace, we have this going on. Now, we can do either or, but for the sake of just doing things differently this time, and showing you that it's possible to do them differently, you know what? For the sake of keeping things simple for those who are new, let's keep it this way. This is how you know this is a live tutorial, because I'm making corrections on myself on the spot. So I'm going to hit brush. B for brush. If not, go down here, click brush. Our brush settings should still be the same. If not, you hit a soft brush. Put it at 200. I put mine at, let's say, maybe 400. I think last time. Keep the hardness on 0. Keep the flow to 50. The opacity to 50. Unless you know what you're doing, you can tweak those. The more opacity, the more the brush works. The more flow. Same for hardness. If you want to make this a hard brush, I'll do so right now, just for the hell of it, because it's hair. I'm going to go to 25. And this means the brush isn't so, it doesn't really have much of a feathering on the end of it. It's pretty hard. Now, the reason why I'm painting over it, nothing's happening, is because I'm using the black brush. But if I were to invert these by hitting X or clicking this button here, all right, I can go through and I want to paint away this hair that I had on the model. Okay, so I'm gonna use open bracket and close bracket, which is right next to the it's kind of adjacent to your backspace. The open bracket and close bracket will make your brush size bigger, and this is for pretty much anything that you use that requires a brush. Okay, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it big when I get into the outsides, because I can get things done faster. Okay, but when I come on the inside, actually you can even go over the ear, because the ears are all placed in the same spot. So I'm just gonna kind of come here. I really want to get in here. And I really want to make sure that I'm disabling that line of reference between the hair. See right here in the middle of the circle, the hair, and where the hairline begins and where the baldness begins. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really bring it down. I really want to get kind of in there. And it takes a little tweaking. I'm not zooming in because just force of habit. Maybe I should. If I really get in there and I'm kind of see how you have these little hairs still kind of poking out. Just kind of clean it up a little bit. You know, if you feel like your brush is working too hard against you, lower that opacity down to about 25 opacity and flow. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. I'm going to kind of soften the transition between these two, and then I really want to. And the ear doesn't matter so much. Ear textures aren't as important unless you're specific on what you want. But I'm just going to kind of, you know, take away some of that, and I'm going to just clean up the rest now. As long as I got the outlining clear, that's good. You know, I'm just gonna come in here and just do some the rest, just kind of clean it up. And what we want to do basically is we want to make sure we have no traces of that hair left, and then we're gonna save it just as is. So we're keeping the colon face, so to speak, but we're just taking out the bald head from the bottle. This model. Now, if you want these lips, because these lips are different, I believe, you can do that. Just simply, you know, well, you'd have to let them view. So turn the brush black, press X, and then just start painting over the lips, and then you get the lips, or actually turn it white, and then you start getting the lips from the model underneath. In this case, I kind of don't want the lips. I like how these lips are. Now, you won't notice a difference until you actually go in there and do it. And then you'll say, okay, I like it. But only one way to find out is we test the subject. By doing no, I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to file save, okay, or Control S. And, oops, I'm sorry. In order to do that, you're going to have to merge the layer down, okay? Now, you don't have to. You can always go to File and then go to Save and then click DDS, because what's going to happen is automatically, because it notices there's more than one layer, it's going to say this is no longer a single DDS file. This has now become a doc. This has now become a project. So it's going to ask you to select DDS, because I don't want to merge down yet. I don't want to make that a habit. It's my bad habit. I don't want to make it yours. I'm going to go to DDS, and then it's going to say which one, it should already have the name here, alpha channels. Just press save. It's going to say overwrite, yes. And then you're going to change this. Remember, DXT3 was for diffuse maps. Well, DXT5 is for normal maps. And press save, okay? This is going to take a little longer to compress. Normally, normal maps take a bit longer because the information is much more important. Well, important is not the word. The information is much more precise, okay? So, well, that's just in terms of me. It looks like it went pretty fast. But overall, if we turn this map off, this is what we had before the hair. And then what we did is we kind of erased it to make it like a baldness. Now, that may look like an old wrinkly head, but it's in fact not. So we're going to click off of it. And remember, this is what we were looking at before, and we're going to click back on it. And as you notice, we have a bald head, but lo and behold, we have streaks of light running to the side of the head. Why is that? We may not see we see it's flat now, as stated in the normal map. We made it flat, but we still have these light streaks. Really, there's no definition in them. It's kind of like as if someone got like a highlighter or like a glow-in-the-dark marker and just kind of marked his face. And the reason why that being is if we go back into our channels, we see here we have light where it's more light, more white. The light tends to bounce back more. It reflects more. Reflectivity, it reflects more. So it's more prominent. So if you look at the lips here, inside these lips, the light is less likely to escape. Think of it as like a black hole, okay? The more black hole-ish it is. Same thing for the eyelids, inside the ears. So the nose would be black, pretty much where light would not get in nor get out. But in this case, light would get into the pores of the cheeks, and the cheeks are more pronounced. So this is pretty much where you apply definition as well. But this is where light, this helps complement what you've done to the normal map. And the easiest way, I find, to mirror what you did here to get this effect, because you're like, well, what if, I did all this, and now I'm going to have to redo the exact same masking to another map, the black and white one, just to make it match? Not necessarily. I'm going to show you how to do that. So now we were going to open up our specularity maps. Jude Inc. Face Creator specularity maps, okay? Once we have that opened up, we are near finished, by the way, okay? Once we have that opened up, we have just a few specularity maps. This is much more simple than just a normal map. And this layer, once again, stays on top, and that is for reasons. Same reason as described before. But pretty much what we are going to do is we are going to find a map. Now, there are lots of maps in here. Some of these are really twisted. Some of these are really specific. But these are just them. There are different types, different ways. If you follow the diffuse map tutorial, you know how to mix these two together and how to make your own maps. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull one out and mix it over the normal map layer. And just leave it at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this map right here. I like this one. This is pretty simple. I believe that's this one right here. And I'm just going to go to edit. I'm going to select all. Edit copy. Alright. I'm going to go right to where my normal map is. On my regular one. And I'm going to paste it right above everything else. So I'm going to go to edit. Paste in place. Alright. And then I'm also going to copy my alpha channel map here. Now, you can't, the reason why I have to copy it out of here is because you can't really edit on the alpha. If I were to paste it above, it pastes it right on top, and you can't really apply a mask over it. It gets really tricky. So I tend to pull it out and then throw it back in. By that, I mean, I'll pull out the mask. I can either copy it here, go to edit. I go to select all, and I go to edit copy. And then I go back into my RGB here. I go to layers, and then I undo that, okay? And I click edit, Control Shift V, paste in place. Now I have my original alpha channel and the one I want to use here. Now what I want to do is I want to kind of how I have them arranged here. I have my original head and the new one I have above it for the normal. I want to do the same thing for my specularity maps. I want to have my original underneath the one I want to copy from. And so the reason I want to do that is because all I have to do now is to make sure that my changes that I made from this map to this one reflect the same as for the specularity map, so they go hand in hand. I'm going to highlight this and hit Alt. Hold down the Alt button, and then if you move this around, bring it up to this layer, and it's going to automatically copy it on over, okay? And as if you notice, it did the same thing. It pretty much applied this white over the head. So if you look, all it did was it did the same masking as I did for the head here. So what I'm going to show you, as I did here, I applied this mask, because technically if I were to make this all black again, everything's back. But I painted white what I wanted to copy over from. I painted everything white on this mask, what I wanted to copy from that layer. So what I did here is I aligned these two together, and I moved that exact same, copied over by holding Alt. I copied over that exact same mask over to this one. These are not relevant anymore. It's really here we're working on. And so now that I'm happy with these two, I like the way this looks. Okay, because I wanted to keep this beard. I wanted to keep all of this, and I kind of wanted to get rid of just the hair, because we want to get rid of these white light streaks. Okay, now the head, it looks darker here, but don't let that fool you. It doesn't mean the head's gonna come out black. This is just the way light receives on the head. It's not going to change anything here. It's just on this side, it's just going to show you, it's just telling you that light is less likely to reflect here. Now that's not pure black. That's pretty good enough, because really your head's not as, if you have a bald head, depending on how oily your head is, I suppose, but your face is usually more oily than the actual head. Unless you got one of those type of heads, then you can go ahead and edit to your desire. If you like, you can lighten that up, make some shine spots, whatever you want to do. Blasey blasey. Now what I want to do also is, one thing I noticed earlier is my eyebrows were kind of giving me issues here, with the eyebrows that I had underneath. And this is not the best method, but it is one method of just getting it out of the way. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back into this new map. I'm going to hit B, and then I'm going to kind of bring my brush down, and I want to kind of, I'm going to turn these up to paint white, and I want no eyebrows to show, at least very lightly, because the eyebrows I added do not reflect the same lighting as these ones, so you don't want to kind of mix match them. And I'm going to kind of do that, okay? I'm also going to do that for this map too, just because, now you really can't tell, but I'm going to do it because I feel like the ones I drew on will still look good even if they don't have a little bump to the eyebrows. It'll still get the trick done. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do what I always do. And one thing that I should have mentioned beforehand, is I really screwed up on, is I said this little block needs to be in front. And in order to do that, just to make up for my mistake, essentially what you want to do, if this is the map, what you did want to do is I'm going to go ahead and click Control D to deselect. I chose this map. What I should have done prior to just jumping on it is go up here and then press Alt Control Shift E once again, and that way I would have had the head with this block in it too as well. So, but since I didn't do that, I'm kind of making up for it by going over here. I'm going to delete that, and I'm just going to go to Select All, because this block must always be on top. Select All, and then I'm going to go ahead and go back into my face here, and I'm just going to go to Edit, Paste in Place. Oops, I did not select the right thing. Okay, I'm going to go to this black box, select all, edit copy. I may have not copied. Then I'm going to go to edit, go to the top layer, edit, paste in place, and then we should have our black box. That must always be there, because that, if that somehow ended up white, these eyelashes, which I stated in the previous section portion of the tutorial, these eyelashes would be shiny, because this is light. So they'd be really, really oily light eyelashes. They'd pretty much be white at this point. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is, since I'm happy with this, I'm going to go ahead and highlight all three of these and just put Layer, Merge Layers, Control E, as I said. Or you can just hit Control E. Oops. Oh, it's going to say, this underlying layer has an alpha channel. It has a layer mask. If this is preserved, then it will mask the merge result. Apply to mask before merging. So it's going to say, do you want to apply this to the actual layer and then it'll mash down? Just press apply. You're fine. Okay? And then press Control E again to bring it on down. This is your final result for your specularity map. And I'm going to press Control A to select all, or select all, edit, copy. And then we are going to turn off the visibility, because we are going to go back into our alpha channel and paste it right above it. And like I said, the only reason we did it outside of the alpha channel is because we can't edit within the alpha channel. I'm going to click back on RGB. By the way, if you see me doing this, and I should have explained this earlier, clicking on RGB, and clicking on alpha will automatically unhighlight all of these colors. If you click on RGB, it'll automatically unhighlight the alpha. Now, if you click alpha visibility with it, you get this strange result. For some reason you get this, just unclick one or the other and you go back to how you were. So clicking RGB brings me back into layers, except that I have no layers selected. So I'm going to go back into here. And because I did make changes with the eyebrows, what I'm going to do simply is I'm going to do the same thing. We can delete this layer if we don't feel comfortable with, or we don't want it no more. I'm going to go ahead and okay, so my mic cut out once again, giving me more issues, and then I made a recording, and then that recording cut out, and so I'm getting more issues. So I'm just going to narrate from here on out what I think I'm doing. Basically, what I did is I went ahead and deleted that specular map that I was working on in the workspace. I merged those other two maps together to make this normal map flat again, and I'm going to go ahead and save it out as a normal map. I'm just going to click save here. Don't know why I'm moving the mouse around a lot, but I probably had a lot of sugar, and I'm going to save it as a DXT5 as always for normal maps, and click save. Let that compress down, and believe I'm going to go into the game next and kind of show you what that looks like. That took a while. Okay, so I'm going to show you what the map looks like now. So now we have those light streaks out of the head, and then we also have in the beard here those little kind of oily or shiny hair options, which is kind of realistic for a beard to have if it hits the light at a certain degree. And we got that because if we look at the specular map, we kept these little white specks within the beard, and of course the head is all dark now and black, so that means less light is going to reflect off of it. Whereas in this model here, it's different. But if we go back and forth, we'll see now. Well, how I like to view my models, I'm saying here is I tend to not like to view them in the regular plain vanilla clothing. I tend to go forward a little bit, look at them in using the actual barbarian and like the bard outfit and maybe some of the other outfits, because it just looks more immersive that way. It makes the character feel like they're in there, what they would look like, because nobody really plays their character using that vanilla outfit. So this is what you're going to see the character play as when you're leveling up or something like that. And it's a pretty good feeling. It's a good result. It makes your work feel more unified. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go and close out Photoshop. I'm going to close out this Specularity UIT PSD. Click no, because I want to keep everything intact. Unless you feel like saving it, you can. I'm going to close this out too. I'm going to click no as well, because I don't like changing the regular files. And then I'm going to close out the normal map because we're done with it. And of course the diffuse map, we made all our changes. We backed it up. We're done with it. Now what we have to do next is back up the normal map that we made for face map 3. So what I'm going to do here, I believe next is I'm going to go ahead and go to output files. And then I'm going to go to normal map here. I'm going to delete this one because I made that at the last tutorial. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this map here by clicking copy, and I'm going to paste it into my backup files. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to make a new face, okay? And I'm going to copy the normal map from face 1 and 1 and 2, and I'm going to use the diffuse map from face 1 and 2, and I'm going to make the new head use the normal map from face 3. So that'll make our 4th face. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm showing you, once you start backing up enough of your diffuse and normal maps, you can pretty much get some interesting results by mix and meshing the affiliations of maps. And pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this face here, and I am going to go ahead and use this normal map, which is the less shiny hair option. And it slightly see the wrinkle on the forehead. There's no wrinkle on the forehead as much. It's not pronounced as much. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to load head 3. Okay, I'm going to name it, I'm going to make the new one head 4, and I'm also going to change the association of the diffuse map to the face Dragon Age Male 01, but I'm going to keep the normal map the same here for this new face. So it's using diffuse map 1 with normal map 3, and it's going to give us an interesting result. As you can see there, nothing happened because we have to reboot the game every time we make a new face. So after I clone head 04, I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste or duplicate the skeleton model. As I stated before, you have to have a skeleton model that matches the head. So I'm going to go and delete this and make this Skell 04. Okay, after I do that, I'm going to fire up the game again. And when that happens, what's going to happen now is our face 04 is going to show. Okay. I'm going to go to new game, new module. uninvited guests, fastest way to get into character creation mode. Going to go ahead to create a character. I'm going to choose human. I'm going to click next as always, zoom in and go back 3 paces to go to the bald head. And that's face 1, face 2, face 3, and now face 4, which is pretty much head face 1's texture diffuse map, but face 3's normal map, which is the bald head with no shine on the head. And there's slightly some differences other than that, but mainly the biggest result there is the head. But I'm saying this because had you created a lot of wrinkles on face 3's head, then you'd see that here. And so this is pretty much an introduction of what you can do. Once you start gathering enough diffuse and normal maps, you can kind of create your own faces, mixing and mashing them together. And the reason I say that is because I provided this little file here. These 3 files is just called experimental maps. And like this one, for example, you see how this map is very, very creaturistic. And these are from Dragon Age, of course. And you can go ahead and mix and match these inside and save these and back these up. So you can apply this map to face 01 if you want and get some interesting results with that bearded face model. And so, have fun with it. So all you got to do is save that map out to a different name, associate it to a new head model. And the same applies here for these diffuse maps I've also provided in another PSD. You can go through and kind of, see the results there. But these are more experimental because they aren't exactly human, but they are universal, so they will work. They might need a little tweak or two, but like I said, learn one, learn all. So pretty much that's what I did here. Just giving you kind of a brief rundown of the face. I know I'm talking a lot and really fast. I can't help it. I was hoping to get a faster tutorial done. Looking at the timer on just this portion alone, it's 34 minutes. And this is the part where I realize I have no idea what I was talking about because the audio cut off. So, that gives me a second to take a breather and finally grab a drink. Hold on. Thank God I gave myself a break. So, as I stated, this is honestly the 6th time making this video. Either because the audio cut out or the video cut out. But pretty much I think what I'm explaining here is what we did is we pretty much made a diffuse map using the PSD. We made a normal map. I showed you some techniques. And then we're going to go ahead and we went ahead and made a new face using one of each of those maps to make a new face. And the next thing I think I'm explaining now is I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you how to apply a beard to the face using a Blender file that I'll be providing, and horns. And that file, get into it now, is if we go into where we have our main files at, where we're pulling from, I have a file called Blender Scenes, and that's this one. I'm giving you a sneak peek of what we'll be working on. If we open up the vanilla head model here, in one of the later tutorials, I'm going to show you how to model in Blender your new face. If you want to change the structure, the cheekbones, if you want to blow it up, bring it in, bring it out. Pretty much this is what we'll be doing. Everything's already set up for it. So I try to make it as effortless as possible. So all you got to do is use this tool here that I'm using and pretty much use your brush here and just kind of brush along and mold it like clay, the faces you want to make. And since the UVs and everything are already attached and textures are already to the map, it'll apply to every single map you create, however you make these faces. So you can make a few and save them out, test them out, see what you like. Make a dwarf. I was able to make a few races, sharpen the ears, make an elf race out of it, bring it in. In this case, I'm kind of making I'm just showing you what's possible. But I mean, obviously this wouldn't be a realistic face because of the anatomy. It's dude got either the mumps or got stung by a bee really bad. But pretty much that's that. We are also going to go into this one here, which is the F Hair 01 options. This is where I housed an arsenal of beards and horns where we'll be pulling from. So there's an option within Blender that allows you to pull something from one scene to another. So you're going to pick which hair you like, which beard, which horn set you like, if you want to apply either. And then we'll snap it onto the new faces. And it's pretty quick and pretty easy. Okay? And so at this point, I am saying goodbye. And I'm glad I got this portion finished. I hope to get the next tutorial out really soon so we can get this on the vault. Thanks everybody for watching.